What's up everyone? I am here with a tutorial that nobody asked for, but I am hopeful that someone will find interesting and or useful. If you're like me, you have a house full of Unifi products, the Protect security camera line being one of them. And one thing that I've always wanted to do at home and also set up for a couple of my customers is be able to change live views on the Protect viewports without having to log into the web console or pull up the phone app or so on and so forth. You may have a home user or a site may have employees that may need to see something else on a viewport, but you don't necessarily want to give them credentials, or there could be, a myriad of other use cases you may want this. A few years ago, actually 2023, I stumbled upon this guy on YouTube who managed to do something similar to what I was wanting, using Apple HomeKit and a Lutron Caseta remote, where he could power on a TV and change the viewport views with this Caseta remote. And then after posting this, he promptly disappeared and told nobody how he did it. So finally, 2 years later, I finally decided to give this a go on my own. A couple requirements that I had, though, was I didn't want to have to rely on any external services like HomeKit or Home Assistant or anything similar to that to be running in my environment. I wanted to just have the Unifi NVR and then whatever machine was running. In my case, I want to do this with Stream Deck. So whatever machine was running the Stream Deck was the only piece of hardware or software I wanted to have to add. At first, I tried doing this with a built-in Stream Deck app utility for doing API calls with the recently released Unifi Protect API. I had no luck with this, but I eventually found success by using the application Companion from Bitfocus. If you're familiar with audiovisual industry, live production, something like that, you may have already heard of Companion. It's free, it's very useful, can do a ton of stuff, but it can definitely do what I was trying to achieve here, which was control a viewport with a Stream Deck. So I'm going to jump right into it here. I kind of have a hit list of everything you're going to need to do to get started. First up is you're going to want to locate your Protect console's local IP address and make a local DNS record for that. Your mileage may vary, but I had better success using a DNS record. That way I could install the self-assigned security certificate onto my local machine, which in my case needed to be done in order for Bitfocus to reach out to the console. Again, your mileage may vary, but I'm going to walk you through all of the steps I took to get this running. So I've already set up the DNS record here, and I'll pull up a new window. It is actually unvr.demo.local. Of course, you're going to get the self-signed cert warning. You're going to open this up, and you're going to want to go up here, view certificate details, and export this certificate. You save it wherever you want. Close this window. Go to your download folder and do a right-click, install certificate. You can do current user or the entire machine. It doesn't really matter. I usually do entire machine. And you're going to want to specify which store you're going to put it in, and it needs to go in the trusted root CA. Click OK, next, and you're going to finish this process. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again, but just finish out that process to install the certificate. Next thing I'm going to throw in here after the fact is if you are using Companion on a Raspberry Pi with Companion Pi or on any Linux distribution, if you don't want to go to the trouble of editing certificates over the CLI and adding your certificate to a trusted store, you do have the option to go into connections here on Companion, select HTTP, and down here under unauthorized certificates you can accept all. The default is set as reject, but if you change this to accept, you will be able to establish that connection. Next, you are going to want to generate an API key for your console. So open up your console here and go to the control plane, and under integrations you have this recently added API section. Previously you would have had to add a super user to be able to do this, but now you can do it with just generating a new API key. So I'm going to go here, set up a demo key. You can set an expiration. I'm just going to do never for this one. Create an API key, and you're going to want to document this because it will not show it again. So I'll take that over to my notepad to save for later. The next thing that you're going to want to document is the ID for your viewport and or viewports that you want to change. So go over to your device list, select the viewport you want to look at, go to the settings tab, and you'll see up here what you're going to want to grab is this last bit of the URL, and that's going to be your device ID. I'm going to paste that in my notepad, and then you're going to also want to grab the IDs for the live views that you want to use. So I set up two demo views here, demo 1, demo 2, and it's the same deal. The very last bit of the URL here is going to be the view ID. So I'm going to copy this first one, and then copy this second one. Okay. That is going to be it for the protect portion. I'm going to go ahead and assume you have already downloaded and installed BitFocus Companion. And what you're going to want to do is for connections, you're going to want to make sure you have the generic HTTP request connection already installed and enabled. After you do that, we're going to go over to buttons, and I'm on a blank page here. So I have two views that I want to switch between for this demo, so I'm going to set up key 1 and 2. So for demo view 1, we're going to create a button. The text string is just whatever label you want to give it. View 1 is fine. And under steps for press action, you're going to want to do an HTTP patch. And these are here because I've recently used them, but you can also search right here, HTTP, and it'll give you all of the options. We're going to select patch. For URL, and I'm going to post this info in the description as well, this is going to be your API URL. You of course want to replace console address with the DNS record we just set up. And of course the viewport ID that we just copied, we're going to paste that at the end for viewport ID. Under body, this is going to be our body string. So what we're doing is, for the URL, we're reaching out to this viewport ID and we're telling it to pull this live view, and we're going to paste the first demo live view ID here. And then under header input, this is the part that took me quite a while to figure out. Here's where you're going to put the header info, such as the API key you just generated, and you're going to specify that we're talking in the JSON language. If you go back to protect, it gave you a couple hints about how to format your API request. And this is where I got a little confused initially, because you cannot just paste this as is into Companion. You have to add brackets and commas between each bit of header information, or it'll get confused and not work. Again, I'll post this in the description for everyone. So here is the header we're going to use. And of course we're going to replace API key, and the rest of this you can use the same. We're talking in application language JSON, and we're accepting the same language. You can leave content type application JSON, no response data variable, and leave stringify result checked. Now that that is done, we can actually copy this button to save us a little bit of time. Select what you want to copy, select where you want it. Okay. Of course, we're going to change this to view 2. And the only thing we need to change here, since we're still working with the same viewport, is the LIVEVIEW-ID. Paste that there. And just for sanity check, you do have a handy test button here. I'm just testing both of these out. Perfect. So it looks like that works, and I'm going to pull up, actually, here's a live capture of the viewport we've been working with. And you can actually, let's see, interactive buttons, web buttons. So here's the page we've been working on. I have my 2 buttons here just as they will appear on your Stream Deck. So we'll go view 1 and view 2. Back to view 1. And of course you can add as many different live views as you want. Mix and match. You can do single views. Really anything that you can do inside Protect, you can tell Companion here to automate that for you. So, hope this helps. It's definitely a tutorial I looked for a long time and never found it. So I made it, and hopefully it'll help out one of you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. See you next time.